folks. My name is Max, your occasional host of The Most. And I'm here with psychic medium Liz Cross, who is flying solo through the skies on her beautiful bronze broomstick. How are things, Liz?
That's so funny. Yeah, flying solo on my broomstick, I guess. Yeah, everything's great. I just we've had a few eventful few days, but spirit always protects me and looks after me. So I'm just forever grateful.
Okay, sounds good. So it's a beautiful day here where I am, and I thought it's a great day to talk about Hitler. I don't know why I had that association, but my mind works in strange ways. Don't get me wrong, I don't endorse Hitler, obviously, but he was and is an interesting character. We did a few great videos on Hitler about his death in Argentina in the late 50s. It was under very dire conditions. We talked about his children before. We talked about where he would reincarnate. And you can find those videos on this channel. I think there was a Hitler 1, 2, and even 3. I'm not sure, but anyway, just do a little bit of digging in the channel's history, and you'll find them. And people put forward a lot of questions for Mr. Hitler. Questions that pertain to exotic tech that he might have had developed or that he was looking for, all sorts of stuff pertaining to conspiracy theories, actual history, people that want to verify certain historical questions, and also Hitler's opinion on current events. Our modern day politicians and circumstances, and even crypto, Hitler and crypto. That's definitely something we're going to touch upon. So today we're going to try to produce a few shorter videos, because we sometimes feel the vids, they run a bit too long, like an hour and 15 minutes typically when we tackle a big topic. And we're going to break it up in like smaller segments. I think we're going to kick off with the exotic tech. So Hitler and the Ark of the Covenant and UFOs and space activities, underground bases, which we touched upon already during the last vid, I am quite sure, but we're going to just touch upon it again. And should be pretty interesting. So yeah, Liz, are you homed in on Mr. Hitler?
Is anybody there? Yeah, he's been standing by. He's waiting to talk. So yeah, he's here again.
Is he eager to have a little discussion with us? Eager to divulge?
He is. He's one of the easiest spirits to channel. It's funny because you would think with somebody with that sort of reputation wouldn't want to come forward, would hang their head in shame. That happens sometimes when I'm doing readings and a family member comes forward and they're looking down and they're scared to talk because, maybe they were shameful in the lifetime that they had with the person receiving the reading, not Hitler. Hitler's like, yeah, I'm ready to talk. So that says to me, even though he has asked for forgiveness and he has apologized on previous videos, he still likes that aspect of being listened to.
Yeah. And as we established during the last vid, Hitler will be reincarnated in Sweden. And I mean, that's kind of it's a bit cold sometimes, but Sweden overall is a very, very nice place to reincarnate. Very high taxes, but overall nice people. Yeah, you would expect him to reincarnate maybe in some kind of hellhole, having a terrible life. But it seems that in that sense, creation is strange like that, right?
It is. And he will experience a very different side to that life than what he had in that previous life. And that's what we do. We experience major shifts and changes on the spectrum. So we experience things completely opposite in some lifetimes to the lifetime previously.
Yeah. I just realized that, of course, Sweden still has a very high percentage of blonde-haired, blue-eyed people, which, as we know, is very much to his liking.
Which is strange, considering he had brown hair. Shall we ask him that?
Yeah, I think ask him.
Why did you like blonde hair, blue-eyed people more than anyone else? Because there's an element, he's telling me, I don't understand what this means, but there's an element of trust with white skin, blonde hair, blue people. It's almost as if they're viewed higher in society, he's telling me. And I'm saying, but you weren't blonde. He always wanted to be blonde. I was like, could you not just pour some bleach on your hair? And he was like, no, I would look silly. So what can you do with that? But for some reason, it's almost like, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't actually know this too well. What is it? The caste system, in a lot of countries, there's that lighter skin are more revered and the darker skin are looking, they're the more poverty stricken. I mean, I know some countries do operate in that way. I'm not saying I agree with it by any stretch of the imagination. I think it's horrid and it's backwards, but why would you even think of studying that way? But at that time, it just, that was the perception.
Yeah, there's countries, of course, like darker skin. Normally, in some countries, means that you do a lot of outside labor, which is frowned upon. While in our part of the world, brown skin means that you, at least if you have it as a white person, it means you had a very nice holiday. It's really a cultural thing, right?
Right, but. Yeah. I don't know what the times were like back then, right? I'm a historian. I haven't studied like what was business from a historical point of view, what was business like back then. But it seems like as far as business is concerned, wealth is concerned, what he's saying to me is people were white, blonde, blue eyes.
Okay, and did he think that let's say the blonde race had some kind of alien connection or alien origin?
Oh, did you believe that the blonde race had some sort of alien connection? Definitely not, he says.
Okay. Was he aware of, did he believe in aliens? And if yes, was he aware of the actual existence of aliens?
Yes. Were you aware of their actual existence? Yes, he does. He was aware of he does believe, yes, and he was aware of their existence.
Did he have personal or professional, that sounds ridiculous. Anyway, did he have any dealings sorry, audience. Did he have any dealings with aliens and why?
No, but he was always very curious about them from a very young age, which was frowned upon by the church, he says. So it was always a very hush-hush thing.
Where did this curiosity originate from?
He read about it in a book when he was very, very young, sort of a sci-fi type of book. And he thought, well, we must be not, we mustn't be the only creatures out on the planet. And he would stargaze and he would, lose himself in the sky. So he was always very curious about that. He was always looking for a form of escape. To think that Hitler had a good childhood is not accurate. Okay. Because as I'm picking him up now, he was always looking to escape. So he would escape in his mind. He would escape by looking, thinking about aliens. He would escape by thinking about power. Don't forget, we uncovered that where he was hurting animals at a very young age. That's trying to take power and control over another being. So he always had this escape plan in his mind.
Okay, interesting. So just to verify again, was he during his time as the actual leader of the SDAP party and Germany, and his time as a dictator, was he actually aware? Did he have an actual evidence of an alien presence or alien history on the planet?
Did you ever aware of an alien presence on the planet? No, so he did not know of an alien presence on the planet.
Okay, so it was all theoretical from books.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting. And we'll circle back. No worries, folks. We'll circle back to the topic of UFOs and stuff a little bit later on. So I'm gonna ask some questions that were from our audience, and I just put them together without the names there visible. So thank you for sending us like really a ton of questions. You can really notice that Hitler still fascinates people until this very day. And someone joked that we could do a Hitler video part 25, and yeah, we definitely have enough questions to get to part 25. So let's see how far we get today. Did you, Hitler, send people out looking for ancient ruins and artifacts?
Did you go out looking for ancient ruins and artifacts? Yes, he sent teams of people out. Definitely special military teams.
Did that include also the Ark of the Covenant, Ark of the Covenant, and the oh, what's it called? The cup from which Jesus drank, famously depicted in the Harrison Ford movie.
The Holy Grail?
Yeah, the Holy Grail. Yeah, I don't know where I'm at. Sorry, I had a horrible night of sleep, folks, and like I'm not myself today, really. But forgive me, bear with me. The Holy Grail. Yeah, was he looking for those Ark of the Covenant and the Holy Grail?
Did you send teams looking out for the Holy Grail? Yes, and the Ark of the yes, and lots of other things as well. I feel like the lost city of Atlantis is what he told me, and lots of other like artifacts. He wanted them.
Why?
Why did you want those? He wanted to keep them for himself.
But was it like a fascination for historical items, or did he plan to kind of wield the power that those items might hold?
Was it a fascination for the items, or were you planning to wield the power of those items that might help? Both. It was the fascination, but also he says I would drink from the cup. He thought he could also obtain, eternal youth. Okay. And that is another pursuit of his.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And what did he expect the Ark of the Covenant could do for him? What did he think it was, and did he find it?
What did you think the Ark of the Covenant was? He's saying he thought the Ark of the Covenant was a series of writings. Now, I don't know anything about the Ark of the Covenant, right? Because those of you that have been listening to me for a very long time, you know that every time I was put in a religious situation, my my intuition is like, walk away now. And it wasn't the fact that what the material that was being handed to people or verbally given to people was bad. It was just my own intuition saying, this material is not for you. And so what were you planning to do with the Ark of the Covenant information? He was planning to seek eternal life. He believed that having possession of these objects would give him power, and he would never die. He never wanted to die ever, which is this whole suicide saga that was depicted in our history books.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get that from Hitler at all. He was somebody who never wanted to die. So that to me just doesn't fit right.
Interesting. So the big question, the logical question is, did he ever find the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant? Did he find Atlantis and the other things that he was looking for? Well, let's take it one by one. Did he find the Ark?
Did you find the Ark? No.
Did he find the Holy Grail?
No, he believes that's lost forever. He said that's lost forever. Oh. Was there such a thing as the Holy Grail? Yes.
Can he tell us where it is now?
He says, yeah, if you pay me.
Pardon? He said what?
He said yes, if you pay me.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, he said that he still has a very worldly outlook, or it was a joke, I presume.
It was a joke. And I shouldn't laugh, but Spirit never talk about money like that, right? Except unless we're channeling Gan for some charts and crypto information, because money is irrelevant on the other side.
Sure.
It really is. So I think that was a joke to capture the audience and get you all to laugh. Yeah, that's why I was laughing, because I've never had a spirit say, yeah, if you pay me enough. Like, how the hell would you pay Hitler, right? How do you give money to spirit?
Is this is this information kind of embargoed by spirit? Like we just cannot know or cannot know yet?
Ooh, is this information embargoed by spirit? Absolutely.
Will it ever be revealed where these objects are?
Will it ever be revealed where these objects are? No one will find them.
Ever?
They're buried very, very deep in the earth.
Like by people, or more by natural cataclysms that they got like buried very deep over time by mudslides, like whatever, or both?
Oh, by people? Were they buried by people? Yes. Mm-hmm. And has it then had the mudslides? And no, they were buried by people very, very deep down. How many feet? 10 feet? More than 10 feet. More than 10 feet down.
Okay, well, 10 feet isn't that deep, but yeah.
Well, okay. I don't know. Go out with a shovel on a hot day.
I thought when you said like, well, yeah, it is kind of deep when you're like when you don't have a bulldozer on you. But okay, interesting. So how about Atlantis? Did he ever locate Atlantis?
Did you ever locate Atlantis? He believes so.
And where did he think it was?
Where did you think it was? In the Caribbean.
Oh, So he sent people out there all the way to the Caribbean, yeah, like to Bermuda and Bahamas. Yes,
he had lots of military excursions, just small groups.
Yeah.
Special forces, but he had lots of military excursions.
Yeah. Must have been nice to be part of the Bahamas team rather than the South Pole team, right? I mean, it's like that's a better gig to spend to do some digging in the Caribbean rather than Antarctica. But anyway,
Yeah, really. I mean, can you dig through
yeah,
ice? I mean, come on.
exactly.
But they, they were dive teams and things like that that were out there. He had a lot of special forces. Did you have spies in the United States? Only a couple of spies in the United States. Did you have spies in the UK? Several spies in the UK. What about Russia? Yes, several in Russia. So, I mean, he had spy teams. Um, you
What
know,
JF, this brings me to another topic actually very quickly, but while you're at it, um, supposedly the father of John Fitzgerald Kennedy, JFK, was kind of a Nazi sympathizer. Was he?
ooh. Was the father of JFK a Nazi sympathizer? Yes,
Ooh, it's the scoop of the day,
he
folks.
would fund. He would fund the Nazi Party.
Even funded. Okay.
He sent money. Yes.
All right. That's
Did he know what?
that.
He
Well,
knew what he was funding. I was asking if he knew what. Sorry about that. I
don't
didn't mean
worry.
to cut across you there. But he was. I was asking whether he knew. Like, did he not mean to fund the Nazi Party, or did he actually know that he was funding the Nazi Party? And he did know. He had a lot of money to dispense with, and he had a lot of money to hide. So he's saying he gave a lot of money away to various political parties.
Yeah. Did you have other? I'm kind of like I just like crossed over to a completely different topic, which I really don't like to do. I'm a structured person, but we went there anyway. So let's make the most of it. Were you backed by other rich families and individuals in the West?
Were you backed by other rich families and individuals? Yes, from all over Europe.
Would that include? This is
There
of
was
course.
a deep seated,
Sorry,
sorry,
go
there
ahead.
was a deep seated hatred of the Jews. And he got a lot of funding for that. I feel like that was the start of the Holocaust. I feel like he's telling me people sent a lot of money and on the proviso that was his mission. Now that's pretty telling and that's pretty scary. Um, that people in Europe were actively funding very wealthy families, very well established families. And he's saying to me, they wanted me to get rid of the Jews.
Did that include the famous, of course, the two families that are the ire of the, let's say, the critical thinking community, the Rothschild and Rockefeller families?
Was it the Rockefeller family? No. Was it the Rothschild? No. No.
Um,
I feel like these are a lot of families. Denmark. I feel like Switzerland. I feel like even royalty, the UK royalty. No, not UK royalty. I just feel like there was this overall deep-seated hatred for the Jewish population across Europe, and he knew that he could extract funding by making this his mission.
how
That's
about,
part of the reason that.
wow, okay, sorry again to interrupt. This is very
No,
interesting.
it's okay. I know we get excited because
Yeah,
we never know where these.
exactly. So audience, please, I'm a very polite person and so is Liz, but sometimes we're so enthusiastic that we start talking through each other and we apologize. I'm sure if you're listening to that, it's very annoying and I'm sorry for that. So yeah, it's interesting to know being a European fellow myself. Were any other? You said no, not the UK royal family. How about the Danish or Swedish or Dutch royal families?
What about the Dutch or Swedish royal family? He's not really going into details, but definitely royalty had a lot to do with this.
Is that
A
also
lot of
something
funding.
that he can't reveal? That is something that should that is to remain hidden for now?
Is that something that is to remain in? Yes.
Okay. Were you a member of, again, we're sticking a little bit with the conspiracy topic. Were you a member of any secret society like the Freemasons?
No.
All right, so here's another question, kind of related. What was your meaning behind the inversion of the swastika symbol?
What was the meaning behind the inversion of the swastika symbol? Okay. He's like, we just couldn't think of anything else. We tried to come up with a symbol to represent the party, and we wanted some dangerous that would stand out, and that was what they chose.
That's interesting. Yeah, because you see, for people who know Southeast Asia, you see the swastika like in the origin, like the inverted on Buddhist temples everywhere, which is very peaceful, you know, represents peace and harmony or whatever, something very benign. So it's kind of very interesting where how they came up with that. But you just said it's kind of not a very creative, not a lot of deep thinking behind it. That's what you're saying, yeah?
Yeah, there's not a lot of, I know a lot of people would think, oh, there's this conspiracy theory and maybe it was representative of this and that. He really is saying they didn't put too much thought into it.
Okay.
That was chosen out of an array of symbols, right? Like a logo.
All right, all right. So yeah, of course we have a Klaus Schwab, aka the Schwab question here. Many people think Klaus Schwab is an actual Nazi. And let me just read the question here. I'm just going to read it without having read it before. The father and mother of Klaus Schwab, I just love pronouncing his name, leader of the World Economic Forum, were both said to be loyal Nazis and reportedly worked directly with you, Mr. Hitler, in World War II to establish Nazism as the dominant political party of Germany. Now that Klaus and his team of fascist bankers and corporations have resurrected the Nazi party agenda of a socialist fascist new world order, how do you think they're faring in their efforts? So, okay, this question assumes that Klaus Schwab is a Nazi and is trying to resurrect the Nazi party agenda. First and foremost, is that true? Is Mr. Schwab a true believer of yours?
Is Klaus Schwab a true believer of yours? No, he's anti-Nazi, but it's almost like the ideals or the ideology is very similar.
Yeah, the green ideology, that is.
Oh, I see. Okay. I didn't know where that question was going then. But yeah, it's very similar. The ideology. It's still about power and control.
Yeah, and as we established before, Hitler, when he will reincarnate in Sweden, supposedly, he will kind of be a green Nazi, right? So he's actually gonna be kind of on the same, but like supposedly to save the world, but still kind of like hardcore extreme thinking, changing people's habits and lifestyles to supposed alleged benign purposes. I don't know if there was a question in there somewhere, but
what do you see the future as? He says he sees the future as bleak. And I'm saying, why do you see it that way? It's all about mind control. He's like, you're all still being mind controlled. It's just I'm not the one doing the mind controlling, right?
Okay.
And I get what he's saying here. Like, I understand this. I'm in disbelief that I'm actually agreeing with what Hitler says, because that's like the last person you'd ever want to agree with, or spirit or whatever. But they always find a way to mind control you. That's what it's all about. So they keep you oppressed. You don't have access to a lot of money. You're dependent. And then they make up all these rules and regulations. Now you think you're doing things this is his words, not mine. Now you think you're doing things for the good of this and that. But little do you know, the more it goes down the spectrum, then they start taking away your rights and your control. And I can see what he's saying. This is why I don't get too involved in politics, it just, you can get mind controlled if you're following politics too closely. If you're, I just get it. I understand what he's saying here.
Yeah, interesting. So
And
anyway,
we're currently having our wealth stripped away from us anyway.
Yeah.
By inflation, or whatever means, high taxes, high rent, high mortgages. I mean, we're still having that inflation stripped. It's kind of crazy. When we pay, say you buy a house for 100,000 and you're actually paying like 250, 300,000 for that house because the bank is taking all the money. It's still mind controlled. You still think that you own your own property, but they actually own the property, he's telling me, for a very long time. And then when you finally do own the property, you've paid 3 times the price for it.
Yeah.
Right. So I get, he's aligning with that question.
Right, interesting. So anyway, Klaus Schwab is not a Nazi. He just looks like one and talks like one. That's very interesting. Yeah, let's maybe circle back to the kind of the exotic tech, because this is kind of interesting. Hitler and UFOs. This is kind of a legendary topic within the UFO circles. Like what did he know and have? So here's the question. No, sorry. First, another question regarding any artifacts. We spoke about the Holy Grail earlier, the Ark, and the Atlantis, well, which was a continent or city, not an artifact. Was there anything that you did find, like anything spectacular, and that you kind of used to your advantage? And if yes, what was it?
Did you find anything spectacular? I mean, he found several things. And again, you remember he goes back into these scientific experiments, which were actually quite horrific when we think about it. But he made a lot of observations about the human body and how much pain we could tolerate, how to switch off pain receptors, things like that. So he actually believes that he made a lot of advancements. Did you find any artifacts or anything like that? I mean, they stole a lot of the artifacts, he's saying. That's where they found them. None of his teams actually went out and found the artifacts, but they stole a lot of memorabilia. They stole a lot of old pottery, old Egyptian. I'm getting a lot of old Egyptian pottery, clay tablets, things like that. And I'm saying, what did the Nazis do with all the paintings and everything that they stole? And they buried them. They buried them in bunkers.
And have they been found?
Have they been found? Only one bunker, or one bunker has been found with some things in it. But there's actually 4 more. So, and they're large bunkers. They're not small.
And where are they? Like, where are they roughly located on today's map? Would they be in Poland or the current Germany or another place altogether?
They're in Germany.
Out east, west, south, north, central?
East, west, south, north, central. I feel like in different places. Definitely one in the east, definitely one in the west, anything in central, no. And two in the north.
And would they, like, are those places that where there's no structure above ground that could be found? Like, is it like completely hidden underground?
Is it completely hidden underground? Yes, no one will find them other structures above the bunkers. Only on one of the bunkers out west, there's a structure.
Will they ever be found, those spaces?
No.
Wow.
Just stacks and stacks of art, designer clothing, jewelry, gold, money, just tons of it. Tons and tons and tons.
Okay.
Expensive furniture, relics.
I think,
and he believes that he owned them. I mean, he firmly believes he had ownership of that.
yeah. I think, Liz, you might soon be hired by an art dealer to pinpoint the exact location of those areas.
You know, that's one thing that I would absolutely love to do. That's always been my passion, to find stolen art, you know, so I can actually talk to anything that has a consciousness, any type of energy. There's a lot of energy and paintings and, you know, the art that has been stolen and hidden away for years and years. I would love to be able to talk to those paintings, find out where they are, find out who took them. Now they may not be able to give us a direction of which way they went, right? Well, we got to the end of the road and we turned right, because they don't have any concept of direction. But it would be interesting to know whether they still exist or whether they were destroyed, because art is very pulls on the emotional strings. So sometimes art can be stolen just to be destroyed because they can't stand looking at the image. And, you know, there's been famous artists, there's been very wealthy people that have bought paintings from famous artists where they never even displayed it because they don't want anybody else to look at that painting ever. So that intrigues me as well. But I would love to do something like that.
Yeah, and presumably the art contains a lot of art that was stolen from Jewish families back in the day, families which are still around, at least to the extent that they weren't exterminated, and they would love to get their stuff back, I guess. And that's an interesting, that's an interesting avenue to do an interesting project on its own. And
it is. It's fascinating.
Yeah. Wow. Very interesting. And that's an unexpected piece of information. So let's talk UFOs. It's time to kind of, time flies. I have another 10, 15 minutes or so we can explore that topic a little bit. So, Mr. Hitler, the big question, were you researching UFOs and did you make some technological breakthrough from the technology?
No, there were no breakthroughs, but he was researching them.
So did you ever, and sorry, it's different questions put together and sometimes there's a bit of repetition in there. Did you ever develop a form of anti-gravity technology, or did you come close?
Did you ever develop a form of anti-gravity technology? No, they tried. They did try. You remember, he's very scientific. Did you come close? No, they didn't come close.
Was the Nazi bell, the famous Glocke, die Glocke, the clock, was it a real machine that you built that supposedly is like the prototype Nazi UFO?
It's a Nazi bell that you built, some sort of prototype of the UFO. No.
Apart from the question if it ever flew or not, but was there ever a prototype built? Did you ever build a type of UFO, maybe not the Glocke, but something else? Did you ever try to build something that would, you know, fly and behave as a UFO? Horizontal takeoff, vertical takeoff and all.
He tried to develop a time machine, and he wanted to be transported in the time machine, but that didn't work either.
Okay, the next question I'm going to ask anyway, we kind of know now, but did the Nazis ever put a person in space?
Did they ever put a person in space?
Yeah.
Did they ever put a person in space? No.
Okay. Why
they wanted to do that too. They wanted to.
Yeah.
They definitely wanted to. But a lot of these missions and trials were unsuccessful.
So, why did the Nazis build the underground complex Riese? I think it's in Poland. I think it's a huge underground, like a system of different complexes. And I think also in one of the spaces, the Glocke might have been built, but you say it wasn't. But anyway, so what was the purpose of the underground complex Riese, which, if I'm not mistaken, would be located in modern day Poland?
And how do you spell that? I'm trying to see if I can find a look at it.
Sorry,
is there of it?
It's RIESE.
Thank you. Oh, okay. Okay. What would you like to know?
What purpose did it serve?
What purpose did the underground complex serve in Poland? It was a hideout. It was a place to collect information. It was a place to transmit information. It was a place to get from one area to another, to move weapons, to move people. I mean, they used it for a lot of different things.
Okay.
And it's, you know, looking at it, it's quite complex.
It's huge. Yeah, it's huge. I kind of remember reading about it. It's like a sprawling complex, like covering tens of square kilometers, if I'm not mistaken, maybe even bigger. Who knows?
Wow.
But it's like a few separate complexes, which are, I think, connected and together are called Riese. But I actually don't know if that's true what I'm saying. I might have, but that kind of, I think that's what this person was referring to.
Let's ask this question.
It reminds
Did you have any paintings?
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just asking Hitler this question. Did you have any paintings or gold or jewelry or anything that was going through that complex in Poland? Yes, they would store things there until they could be moved back into Germany.
I think that complex has been like completely unearthed. Is there still stuff hidden there, like art, gold, etc.? Is that one of the places?
What was that question? I'm sorry.
Is there in somewhere in the Riese complex, is there or Ries, is there still art and gold hidden somewhere, which hasn't been found?
No, it's all been removed.
Okay. By who? By like official parties, like the government, or like grave robbers, or?
Yes, were any thieves in there? Thieves used to go in there all the time. Did any thieves go in there, or anybody non-military or non-government go in and take anything? Yeah, people took loads of things from there.
Was there ever such a thing as an underground Nazi train loaded with gold? Which is so like a few people, I think it was back in 2015 or 16, a few years ago, where a couple of researchers said they might have found the like a train which went on like an underground railway, and it was loaded with Nazi gold. Do you think, can Hitler confirm whether such a train loaded with Nazi gold actually existed or still exists?
Was there an underground system with a train system with It was above ground.
Has it been found?
No, it's still in existence.
I mean, so where is it in the world, or where in Europe?
It's buried underground. But I mean, the actual train operation was above ground, right? When they were moving valuable things.
Right.
But that has been buried as well. That's in Poland.
Wow. Okay. And so I mean, are you saying that? But was there like a railway leading into an underground cavern that they built, or they just drove the train out somewhere and piled like a lot of earth on top of it? Or how do I imagine that? Is the train actually below grade, or is it like in somewhere inside of a hill, or how can I picture this?
Did it go into a cavern or a hill or anything like that? No, it stayed above ground. And how did you? They then dug a very, very, very large hole with a couple of train cars. Okay, so it's not an entire train, but it's a train car, you know, the carriage.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's buried. And that's in Poland.
And is it in fact loaded with gold and other stuff, valuables?
Yes.
So where in Poland is it somewhere? What would be the nearest city be if you can find it?
It's close to the Russian border.
Close to the Russian border, yeah. That's fascinating. I'm just gonna pull up like a map of Poland here quickly. Poland is a very, very nice country. I have a lot of friends there. Would it be anywhere near Warsaw? Warsaw is not at the border, but it's already relatively close.
No.
Is it near Bialystok? And sorry for.
I wouldn't even know how to pronounce that. Is it near?
I'm pronouncing it in the wrong way, so sorry. Apologies to my Polish friends for screwing up this name. How about Lublin?
Yeah, it's kind of close to there.
And how about Chelm?
Chelm? No.
How about Zamość?
Zamość? No.
Okay, so let's part this. But anyway, there is supposedly, we got a lot of scoops out of this video. There is supposedly the Nazi gold train definitely exists, and yeah, it must be located near a railway, or that is there or was there. So that's another project for which you can be hired for a lot of money, right, Riz?
Well, you know, walk 20 paces to the right and look for the X.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. Well, that's going to be a huge find. Does he think the train will ever be found?
Yes, it will.
Anytime soon?
Anytime soon in the 20. Maybe before the 2030.
Okay. We did address this question in the last video, but let's repeat it anyway, because it's kind of the part of the same topic. The Nazis did build a base in on the South Pole, correct?
Yes, a bunker. Yes.
Was it really a very high tech base, part of a, let's say, where a breakaway civilization might have been developed, or what kind of base was it? What kind of facility was it?
Was it a breakaway base? It was a place to hide. I don't feel like there was incredibly high tech equipment there. Just your average, you know, what are those little machines?
Like a telegraph station, like a communication station, yeah?
Yeah.
So not much other infrastructure on the South Pole than that, like from the Nazis, that is.
No.
Was there ever a Nazi breakaway civilization of some sort?
Yes.
Can you elaborate?
Well, he's saying to me the breakaway, if this is what you mean by this question, was when they fled for the hills. So I feel like the Nazi party, they had to flee. The Nazis, the hardcore people, they had to go into hiding.
Like in places like South America, right? Like Argentina, Brazil.
Yeah, but I feel like they hid in the Alps as well.
Right. Yeah, I think breakaway civilization, I think that term was coined by Richard Dolan a few years ago. And I think it kind of implies that it wasn't just like, okay, the remaining Nazis went somewhere and, you know, continued to kind of like, you know, just exist and maybe regroup or something. I think breakaway civilization kind of implies that they had some like living in a very different way than the rest of us, like very high tech-ish or like literally breakaway, right? Like a civilization with different technology, different understanding of what life is, etc., etc.
Okay, then that's a no.
That's a no. Okay. What do you think about, that's a question that someone posed, what do you think about Hyperborea, which are, I think those are mythical people, if I'm just guessing here from my very general knowledge, who lived in the far northern part of the known world.
Hyperborea.
Any thoughts, feelings about Hyperborea?
He believes they existed.
Okay. But just as a more theoretical knowledge, yeah?
Yeah, well, that's interesting. I've never heard of those before.
Yeah. I have kind of, but I have very little knowledge of who they were. Okay, so let's leave
well,
that.
He does believe that they existed,
okay.
but he doesn't have any trace of them. Like he didn't find anything from them.
Okay, so I want to close the session with a question of my own. I wonder about all the rocket scientists that were brought to the US, all the Nazi rocket scientists like Werner von Braun and Oppenheimer. I think were those guys were they true believers, and were they kind of were they hardcore Nazis, or were they just people that were into the science and for whomever they could like you know, invent cool stuff, it was fine with them? So were the Nazi rocket scientists that were brought to the US and were instrumental in developing America's space program in the 60s, were those Nazis? Were those guys actually Nazis?
Two were.
Was Werner von Braun a real Nazi?
I'm sorry, what was that name?
Werner von Braun.
Werner von Braun was a real Nazi. Yes.
And did those guys actually kind of continue to be underground Nazis during their remaining decades in the US?
Yes, but they eventually broke away from that type of thinking.
Okay. How did they initially try to stay loyal to the Nazi, let's say the Nazi legacy, while being in the US? Did they like sabotage the American space program initially? I'm just off on a tangent here, but
no, they were heavily watched.
Heavily watched. Okay.
Yeah, they were not trusted at all.
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting. So Liz, I think we can leave it there. Any words from Hitler like, hey, you should have asked me this. You're a horrible interviewer, Mr. Max.
Well, the last thing is we can ask him, what do you think about crypto? He thinks it's a disaster. I'm saying, why? It's play money. And I said, what do you mean by that? He says it doesn't exist.
Okay, well, we have
will crypto take over the world? Will crypto take over the world? No. That's what he says. So, I mean, we're taking crypto advice from Hitler now.
So if Hitler, I was supposed to, we have a separate Hitler video coming up, one of 25, on Hitler on current topics, current events, including, you know, what does he think of Trump? What does he think of Joe Biden? What does he think of the green agenda? What does he think of crypto? But anyway, you posed the question, that's fine. So if, and we'll revisit this in more detail, but can Hitler, I can't believe I'm asking this question, but does Hitler have a crypto of which he thinks like, yeah, that might turn out okay? What's Hitler's crypto pick, Liz?
What do you have a crypto that you think might turn out okay? It's all a disaster, he says. Get out while you can.
Okay. There you have it, folks. Some investment advice from Hitler himself, and these videos take us on interesting trails. I have to say.
You have to ask.
We have to ask Hitler about crypto, of course. How could I forget? So yeah, this was a fun video. I promised 15 minutes, and of course it became 50, and in the finest tradition. And it was good fun. Very interesting, and I think people will really enjoy this one, and lots of scoops there, and new info or confirmed theories, some disappointments maybe about Die Glocke, for example. I kind of thought like, okay, might have existed, who knows? And yeah, but other very surprising answers. So with that, Liz, any last remaining words about, not in your life, but for today, that you want to divulge to the audience?
Just if you want to support me and the YouTube channel, please go to the Patreon, remote viewing and beyond. And if you want to book a reading with me, there will be a new site coming up soon, a bigger and better site, right? So I'm parking my broomstick for the day and working on all of this tech stuff, you know. So thank you so much, everybody, for your kindness and your support. And we'll see you when we see you.
See you next time, folks, if there is a next time. Bye-bye.